There's some new data out suggesting there may be reduced demand for electric vehicles.
Tesla reportedly created a secret team to block drivers' range complaints. In an investigative piece by Reuters, the EV giant allegedly deployed the team because its service centers were inundated with appointment requests from owners who had expected better range performance.
We've got more backlash for Tesla after the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, you know them in your hood as Nhtsa, they announced an investigation.
All that and more, so let's get to it. Tesla stock trending a little bit lower, down almost 2.5% today. I haven't made any option moves this week considering the volume is so low for Tesla stock. I've told myself to give it a couple of weeks to try to get an idea of where the trend might go, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Wait, do you hear that? Oh, man. Is that what I think it is? It's a F.U.D tsunami! Look out!
New data out suggesting there may be reduced demand for electric vehicles. So apparently pricing for hybrids and EVs in many cases is falling below list price. So what's the story there, Pras?
You know, Diane, recently we've seen EV sell at a higher price point above sticker for quite some time now, but things are changing. According to a report by iSeeCars.com, there are 6 vehicles in America that sell for an average below sticker price. And 4 of those 6 are EVs and hybrids. You see them there, the Chrysler Pacifica hybrid, the Ford F-150 hybrid, the Ioniq 5, and the Ioniq 6 built from Hyundai. Now, this is surprising given the fact that on average, dealers are pricing their cars almost $4,000 more than MSRP. So this is really kind of an anomaly here. There's concern that maybe EVs aren't as attractive anymore as gas prices come down. EVs are generally more expensive than their gas counterparts. So, you know, I see 2 of those listed, the Hyundais. They also don't qualify for the EV tax credit. So that's even a bigger sort of knock for them there. So as we see more EVs come to dealer lots, we may see further pricing pressure on them, assuming prices don't fall to keep up with demand.
A little light drizzle so far. I guess we got 2 hybrids and 2 electric vehicles that are selling below market price. What I take from this is that maybe some consumers are finally waking up to the fact that hybrids are pointless. Having 2 propulsion systems work in concert with each other just promotes more maintenance. And the 2 pure battery electric vehicles were from Hyundai. They don't qualify for the IRA tax credit. You're gonna have to do something to motivate the buyer when they're on the lot.
Well, Tesla reportedly created a secret team to block drivers' range complaints. In an investigative piece by Reuters, the EV giant allegedly deployed the team because its service centers were inundated with appointment requests from owners who had expected better range performance. According to the expansive article, Tesla employees have been instructed to crush any complaints about the EV maker's poor driving range. The investigation alleges the company quietly created a diversion team in Las Vegas to cancel as many range-related appointments as possible. The source cited says the directive to present rosy range projections came from Tesla chief executive Elon Musk himself, and Yahoo Finance has reached out to the company for comment on the article.
Before we get in the eye of the storm of this Cat 5 F.U.D hurricane, this was covered last week, but now we got the guy who actually wrote the article. I kind of wanted to get some more in-depth knowledge about what was going on and the tone. Grab your raincoat.
Author behind the investigation, that's Steve Stecklow. He is global investigative reporter at Reuters. This definitely caught my attention when it came out late last week, Steve. Your in-depth reporting, but before you even get to the reports of range anxiety or range concerns, first, as you talked about in the article, the company, if you can't entirely trust necessarily the range that is reported by the vehicle itself. Can you talk us through that?
Sure, I'll go ahead and talk you through that, Julie. Quite similar to when you have an internal combustion engine and you're getting gas mileage. If you're hitting the accelerator quite a bit, you may not get nearly as many miles per gallon as advertised. I'd imagine it's quite similar to highway miles and city miles when you're talking about an internal combustion engine. But when you're talking about battery electric vehicles, everything is running on the battery. So if you've got the AC cranked up to 10, guess what? That's going to drain your range because it's all coming from the same power source. Want to showcase that explosive acceleration when you're coming out of a light? Guess what? It's going to come at the expense of some of your range. Tesla does an excellent job of showcasing battery consumption and what you can do to mitigate some of these range issues. But I have a feeling none of that's going to be mentioned.
Yes, what our reporting found was that for years, Tesla has exaggerated its range. And about a decade ago, they decided to rig the software that shows the range numbers when you're actually driving in the car. So it would show you what was described to us as rosy estimate.
Was that rosy estimate there to fool the EPA? Come on, buddy.
Again, it's like while you're driving, it's showing you this is different from the window sticker. But eventually, as you mentioned before, this led to the company being inundated with thousands of complaints from people complaining that they're not getting the promised range that was advertised.
And so if we're understanding correctly, the company were then diverting these complaints when they received them and then squashing them, or just kind of making sure that they fell out of the system?
Yeah, so they created this team, as you said, it was in Nevada, and its sole purpose was to cancel appointments that Tesla owners had made complaining about range. The way it works for the Tesla is you could book an appointment using their app on your phone. And until recently, you could go on there and say you had a range problem, and then it would present a calendar and you'd book an appointment. So suddenly they had all these service appointments. So they decided to form this team. And again, what these people were assigned to do was to try to cancel as many of these as possible. So over time, they were ordered to, if they tried to call a customer and the customer didn't answer the phone, they would close the case. If the customer answered the phone, they were told to speak no more than 5 minutes.
Now, I don't doubt some of this might be true, but if you want my humble opinion, a lot of these were just trolling, placing range complaints really just to take up Tesla's time. Now, I'm not going to say the range has been perfect. Now, what I want to ask was how many of those owners that were diverted to this secret Tesla team actually traded in their vehicles because of their dissatisfaction. Tell me that number.
Eventually, they changed the app, so you couldn't book an appointment over the phone at all. You were told that Tesla would contact you. And that's when suddenly at that point, they were getting like 2,000 complaints a week. And all of these were sent to this diversion team. You might be interested to know on the diversion team, the people on it were rated based on how many service appointments for range that they canceled on a daily basis. And whenever they canceled one, someone had a xylophone with metal keys in the office called a metallophone. And someone would strike that. They'd put their phones on mute. They'd stand on their chairs and applaud to celebrate whenever they canceled a service appointment.
I don't know how you deal with trolls, but this seems pretty fair to me.
I mean, this was something out of Boiler Room. I think the movie when I was reading your article, Steve. That's the vibe you sort of got here. What's interesting to me is that Tesla has been selling a lot of cars, right? It hasn't necessarily hit all of its metrics, but it's so fascinating to me that if this is such a big issue,
it's not.
It hasn't affected it more acutely. I mean, this seems like a pretty big problem.
Well, range is a big selling point on cars, and Tesla's advertised some of the longest ranges in the business. And also for people who are deciding whether they should get an electric vehicle at all, range is one of the key factors in their decision. So Tesla has continued to advertise these long ranges. Just last month, they were required by the South Korean regulators, who fined them about $2.1 million for exaggerating the range on their websites in South Korea over a several-year period, primarily for not disclosing how much cold weather can affect range. The South Koreans found, and others have too, that with an EV, cold weather can reduce the range by almost half or more. So Tesla was required to post on its website a disclosure in which they admitted they had falsely advertised in South Korea. And at the bottom was several executives, including Elon Musk.
Steve, really great reporting and investigative journalism there by you and the team. Steve Stecklow, who is the Reuters global investigative reporter. We appreciate the time breaking down the story for us.
I wonder how it impacted sales in South Korea. Range will always be a hot button topic, but despite any misleading of consumers, Tesla is still selling the most battery electric vehicles on the planet, and the Model Y is still the best selling vehicle in the world. Is it over? Is the FUD tsunami over? Oh shit.
We've got more backlash for Tesla after the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, you know them in your hood as Nhtsa, they announced an investigation of complaints about loss of steering control in certain Tesla models. Yahoo Finance's Pras Subramanian, he joins us with the details here. Hey, Pras.
Hey, Brad. So yeah, another safety issue for Tesla and Nhtsa, like you said, investigating 280,000 Model 3s and Model Ys over a power steering loss of control of the steering wheel. Basically, there's 12 complaints. One person said they lost control, hit a tree. So there's been accidents because of this. Another person had to basically just steer into the median and go into a shopping center. So serious stuff here with loss of steering. So this is the first step in a safety probe is the first step before an official recall can be announced. But, you know, if you got to replace parts like steering components, that could be a big recall and a big headache for a Tesla.
Now, 12 reports. How is that high, low versus what we tend to see in these kinds of situations?
It's only for so far the 2023 model year, so it's pretty high for one model year. This is only just these most recently built Teslas, Model Y, Model 3 sedan. So kind of a big deal there.
In theory, is this, you know, they like to fix everything through an over-the-air update, right? Where they just like beam it to your car. Is this something, do we know yet if this is something that can be fixed that way?
So reading some of the reports from customers that have actually sent the cars into Tesla, some of these service technicians said this needs an actual physical
like the whole steering column maybe needs to...
Yeah,
or
steering rack, or they use a thing called drive-by-wire, which is basically a motorized, it's not like an actual connection, it's actually just all motors and signals, so they have to actually replace these components, potentially, is what this service tech told one of the customers. So if you're talking about 200,000 SUVs in Model 3, sorry, 280,000, and those all require physical recalls, that's a big deal.
And the one they haven't had to do that before, have they?
There was a recall that just was announced last month where about a few hundred Tesla Model Ys, the steering wheel would come off the actual stock. So that required a bolt fastener. So that's an easy fix, but still you need to go into the actual service area to do that.
If you've just picked up your Model Y or Model 3, please be careful. If you have any concerns that you might be impacted by this potential recall, don't risk it. Take it into the service center. Should there be a recall, it's better safe than sorry, but I'm sure we'll learn more in the weeks to come. With that being said, I think the FUD tsunami is over for today. Yahoo Finance coming in hot against EVs, and then more particularly on Tesla. But if you followed this company, you know this isn't anything new. And one more thing before I go, the supercharger voting is up and ready. As per one of the comments, speaking on as to how EVs can't even go through Montana, it takes a couple of days, I'm gonna try to do my part and cast a vote for Shelby, Montana. We'll go ahead and place a vote in Narita, Japan. Might be where your boy lays down roots eventually, so gotta make sure there's enough charging there. For the friends and family in Lake Jackson, we definitely need a charging station down there. For all those Texas Aggies on their way to College Station, Brenham will be a nice location. And before Galveston's underwater, I'm pretty sure they could use a charging station too. We like to hit up the beach every now and then. It'd be great to have a supercharger in the Galveston area. Make sure you get your votes in to place the superchargers where you would like them to be. That's all I got for you today. Be easy. Peace.